Welcome back, puny planeswalkers. Theorix6 here, with more Magic the Gathering Arena. You should take advantage of FlipsideGaming.com's promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. But once again, I'm not your damn mother. Today, we're hopping back into the Rubble Belt. With some upgraded riots, we're gonna make the city burn. Anyway, so this is the upgraded riot deck. There are a lot of rares and mythics in this fucking deck. Very little of the original deck is still intact because just the sheer number of awesome rare and mythic cards that go in this deck. As I said last video, I think this is not meant to be a necessarily tier 1 meta Gruul deck. Instead, it's meant to take advantage of as many riot cards as we can. And honestly, I think we do a pretty decent job of that, considering I usually play about 8 to 10 games during practice, and I've won 6 of them. So either I lost about 2, or I lost about 4, which is still a fine record. I think I had the most problems against Mono Red. That deck is so hard to beat. Anyway, we have 3 Llanowar Elves because it's really nice when you have this type of curve to be able to consistently hit your later game threats. Additionally, it does allow us to be a little bit skimpier on the lands in addition to District Guide. We're running 3 Lava Coils because the other deck ran Lightning Strike because I wanted a little bit of extra reach to my opponent's face. This deck is a little bit, okay, it's a lot more top heavy, so we're going to want to make sure that we have some way of dealing with early game aggression from our opponents, and I think Lava Coil is the best card to do that right now. We are running a split of 2 Thorn Lieutenants and 4 Zhur-Taa Goblins. You could make an argument for sure that Thorn Lieutenant is just better than Zhur-Taa Goblin, but this has Riot, this doesn't. Regardless, this is either a 2-2 that attacks or a 3-3 that blocks and makes your opponent deal lightning strike damage to it instead of our face, which is always nice. Thorn Lieutenant, very similar in that it is a really flexible card. For one, it is a relatively decent way to block against early aggression, and for what it's worth, you can utilize it later in the game to, pump it up to a really sizable level. Additionally, well, actually, I'm just going to talk about that when I get to the card. But if your opponent does decide to go ahead and get rid of Thorn Lieutenant with a some sort of targeted spell, you get something out of it. Even though it's just a 1-1, that is a 1-1 that either blocks some more or is able to slowly chip away at your control opponent. We're running 3 District Guides because in addition to the Llanowar Elves, it helps us maintain our mana pace, right? And that allows us to have slightly fewer lands than is probably necessary, considering we're running 5 6 drops. But I have not had a problem with my mana in all of my practice games. So let's have fingers crossed and make sure that doesn't happen this time. For Gruul Spellbreaker, this card is the actual nuts. The fact that it gives you hexproof on your turn means that you can just run straight in full hog against a board that has maybe Settle the Wreckage incoming, but they can't settle you because you have hexproof, which is great. Additionally, if you need a 4/4, you can have a 4/4. If you need a hasty 3/3, you can have a hasty 3/3. Just very flexible card from the Riot mechanic. Rhythm of the Wild is at 3, and that's because we have more cards that innately are already good by themselves, so we don't really need Rhythm of the Wild as much as we did the budget version to get, value out of each of our creatures. That said, this makes it so our creature spells can't be countered. Bite me, control opponents, and it gives extra riot. So, for example, you could have Rhythm of the Wild down and a Domri down, right? You +1 the Domri, and you can play a Zhur-Taa Goblin with 5 power or 4 power with haste. You could also do 3 power with double haste, but that's stupid. But yeah, Rhythm of the Wild is just very helpful at keeping up a nice pace of all of our creatures are great. They're all going to resolve, essentially. So it's very nice. We're running 3 Rekindling Phoenix. I didn't want to run this at first, but I found that it's just, strong. The fact that it does come back to the battlefield when it goes from the graveyard to the battlefield means that we're able to use it with Rhythm of the Wild, so it can come back with haste or come back a little bit bigger, which is very nice. Additionally, it's just an annoying card for your opponents to deal with. For example, your burn opponent, if they want to get rid of this, will have to use at least 2 resources to do so, and those are 2 resources that aren't going to our face. Very, very helpful. We are running only 2 Domri. The reason for this is he's great, but you do need to have a way to get value out of him already or have a board presence because he doesn't protect himself innately. He gives you the ability to do so, but you essentially can't play him on 4 unless you have a Llanowar Elves to play. That said, if you get to a point where you have a stable board presence,
but maybe you like roadblocked against your opponent, you will have a lot of value with this card. You can give your spells additional instances of Riot, or your creatures I should say, or you can refill your hand. Since we're running a lot of creatures, we're running like 26, 27 creatures, this hits a lot of the time. Our deck is almost half creature. Holy crap. Anyway, we're running 3 Skarrgan Hellkites. This is kind of pseudo removal. You usually are going to play this out as a 5/5 that has that extra bonus ability of being able to deal 2 damage divided. The 2 damage divided is really helpful at just pinging down your opponent's face, pinging down some planeswalkers, or dealing with a wide board, right? So sometimes we don't have a wide board, sometimes we have a taller board, which means we just have fewer creatures that are relatively large. But a wide board can give us some problems. So Skarrgan Hellkite does allow us to, ping off a couple of pesky tokens or things like that, which is very helpful. Additionally, it flies. That's always nice. 2 Vivien Reids, because Vivien Reid in a deck with 27 creatures is pretty good. The fact that she has -3 to destroy an artifact, enchantment, or other flyer is pretty good. The -8, where you essentially win the game, is pretty good. We are still running a single Etali and Carnage Tyrant, and here are the main reasons. Etali is boss, and if you're able to haste him out, it's cream of the crop right there. Carnage Tyrant is annoying for control. The fact that it's hexproof, essentially if you have Rhythm of the Wild, it can get countered twice, but, it's still just a decent card. You could probably get away with cutting Carnage Tyrant for an additional Llanowar Elves or District Guide, but they were in the first one. I thought I should keep them in the second one. And then, of course, we're running 3 Ravager Wurm, because Ravager Wurm is savage. This card should be called Savager Wurm. 6 mana, you get removal of either one of your opponent's creatures for up to 5 damage, or you can blow up one of your opponent's lands that does things. You can blow up Archers of Vraska, you can blow up the Wellspring thing, you can blow up Escantha. There's so many good lands that your opponents might be playing. Typically this is from control decks, but the fact that it allows you to have an option against control or against creature heavy decks is fantastic. This has 4 different potential cards in one, and that flexibility is just fantastic. And then of course this is our mana base. We are running a slightly larger amount of forests because of the fact that we do our mana generating cards are green, so we want to have access to those, and our later game cards are the only ones that have the double red. That said, we're relatively even here, so it doesn't matter all that much. And yeah, that's the deck. If you guys want to hear the discussion of those sideboard cards that are in there, which gives a lot of information on why I'm not running those cards specifically, I will be doing that right after the games. So that's going to be around depending on how long these games last, the 35 or 45 minute mark. But of course, my game hates me. There we go. I almost clicked cancel. Cactrot? Is that supposed to sound like Kakarot? Also, I have my editing software up. This hand's a little slow, but we do go first, and we do have access to Rhythm of the Wild. If our opponent is an aggro deck, we're probably just screwed. If our opponent's a control deck, probably not that bad, because we get Rhythm of the Wild down so early, and that makes our creatures pretty much impervious to a lot of their tricks. If our opponent's a mid-range strategy, it's probably fine, so I do think I keep this. I'm just going to lead off with the forest. Black of some sort. Okay, it's aggro black. It is potentially bad. It's Rakdos. I think this is meant to be Rakdos Spectacle, or maybe just Rakdos Aristocrat style thing. Okay, well that's nice. So I think what I'm gonna do is take a little bit more lumps, because I can't really block profitably with those anyway. I play this. Alright, and then next turn, I can play Domri and Llanowar Elves. And then the turn after, I believe, I would be able to play Ravager Wurm. Okay, luckily my opponent is stuck on 2, but they do have some damage coming in. Alright, Rootbound Crag. I could technically play the Llanowar Elves first, but this way I'm actually able to get 2 instances of Riot on it. So if I play this first, I could haste from this and play this out. But if I do this first, it'll have 2 instances of Riot, and I can make it a 3/3, which is very helpful on this board. I wonder if I could have Z'd that. I should have tried. Yeah, so now we have a blocker. So my opponent is probably going to sack something? No, okay. So that's fine. I assume they're... Well, seeing that I'm at 10, they might just keep trying to go face. Crap. That is bad. Ooh, Judith is bad. Yeah, no, they're just straight smorking. Alright, so I can kill Judith next turn. I essentially have to block like that, right? So let's see. So this is going to deal 1 damage. This is 6 total damage. I'll be at 3. Then Judith, I will be at 2. Oof. I don't need to keep this around just because I have this additional land, so it's 5 plus 1 from Domri. If I do it this way, I take 7 total? Jeez, no, I don't think I can do that. Yikeroonies. Oh, I forgot it's 2 damage from Judith. Wait, is it just hers? Oh, okay, cool. It's not... Whew, it's not a full Blood Artist effect. I got worried for nothing. Oh, it's green, I guess. Okay, so this has double Riot. I pretty much can't... Oh, triple Riot, right. I can't take advantage of the haste because I'll just die if I do. But okay. So what my opponent should do is just kill me with Fireblade Artist. They didn't. They could have killed me with Fireblade Artist. I don't know why they didn't, but I'm dead either way. Oh, man. I mean, I did say I was vulnerable to an aggressive deck, but like matchup agnostic, I think that hand is keepable enough. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was a mulligan. But, like, not knowing the matchup, I think it's fine. Hey, Internet, can you stop being an ass? I have been, canceling after it hits 25 minutes. Let me know if any of you guys have trouble connecting to games. Because if it's just me, I work on my internet. Because, like, I'm always connected to, like, Reddit and stuff, right? Like, I use Reddit to make sure that I actually am connected to things. You know, I load things on the side and things like that. But then Arena just, like, doesn't, like, refuses to play nice. I don't know, I guess I'll go, like, to 45 seconds with this one. It's really annoying. There we go. Sholdran. Gul'dan Showers. Alright. Crack open a cold one. It's not Tuesday. This is fine. You know, we have Llanowar Elf into Lava Coil. Into, hopefully our Llanowar Elf is alive, into Domri. And then the following turn, if we have, you know, more land by then, we can Ravager Wurm. So, I mean, this is good. This is a good hand. I love this card. I had a 9-10 last game. If I wasn't going against specifically aggro, I feel like the 9-10 would have done some work. Blue-black. Okay, so this is against Control. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Well, I guess it might not. It could be Sultai. No, it's Control. Thought Erasure? Yep. By Domri, I guess? I assume Domri's getting the boot? Yeah. That's annoying, but fine. Okay, so next turn we can go ahead and Rekindling Phoenix. So that's nice. Oh, it's Esper Control. Am I getting campaigns? Nope. Okay, so they're just going to counter me, you rat bastard. Oh, wait. There's no counter at that mana cost, right? Sabotage is that... No, I don't think they have... Oh, right. Duh. They have Essence Scatter and Syncopate. So... Let's see. Did they have the counter? In my testing, I didn't go against any control, actually. So I'm not sure how these games are going to go. I went against pretty much all mid-range. Okay. I assume they have a Ritual of Soot in hand? If so, that's fine. Or a Kaya's Wrath? Yeah, this mana works with Kaya's Wrath. Yep, alright, that's fine. I do need more lands. Zhur-Taa Goblin's fine. Do I play the Goblin to get in damage, or do I play Thorn Lieutenant? I think I play Goblin to get in damage. Especially since I'm struggling on lands. Moment of craving? Awkward. The lands are not my friend right now. I flooded out so much with 24. Thought Erasure, I assume the Hellkite just because it's cheaper. No, they wanted to get rid of one of my worms, which is kind of strange. They do only have one blue. They had 2 cards left, so I got another one. So yeah, it's fine, I guess. If they target it, I still get something out of it. So they're gonna 2-for-1 themselves. Yeah, that's totally fine with me. I mean, it's not totally fine with me, but you know, it's fine with me. Having something is better than having nothing. Kaya, you say?
The crueler the opponent.
I assume she's gonna. Wait, why would you not -3 or -1 on my token? Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. I love the mana now. It's great. I mean, I'm gonna attack Kaya.
Lucky hit.
Shut up, Kaya. I don't have great ways to deal with planeswalkers. Especially when I don't draw lands. Alright, you know what? No, they only have 1 card left.
You must feel pretty smart right now.
I don't. I kept a hand that apparently didn't have enough mana in it. Alright, you have no more cards to exile. F off. Give me land! Fuck.
Please.
Does it just target opponents? No, just single graveyard. Thought Erasure. Yeah, sure. Take another one of my cards. I don't care.
Pack your bags and hit the road.
Well, I assume Spellbreaker's gonna get countered. Wait, what? You serious? Alright, well, Kaya dies. Alright.
Just you wait.
I'm waiting for the board wipe, though. Okay, that tells me that they don't have a counterspell, because there's no way they would have let that go through. Land. Oh, thank you. Time has come. Do I attack my opponent first? Or do I play out the Scar... I'm going to play it out with haste. It's probably going to get... Oh, right, it can't... They can't have counters. I guess they could have drawn a counterspell. Okay, if I win this game, and as I said, we can't get settled, so if I win this game, after being mana screwed a bit and nearly conceding, I don't remember what the saying is, if it's like, if screw or flood is better. Because like there's a, absorb, incredibly rude. There is like a saying in Magic, where it's like, mana blank beats mana blank, the other. But I never remember if it's screw beats flood or flood beats screw. Binding on the Spellbreaker? No, the dragon. That's fine, I don't have any more. I do have a Domri, though. Do I play the Domri? I like the idea of play the Domri. Because then I can play Ravager Wurm next turn, as long as my opponent doesn't have Contempt or something. If I'm going to play the Domri... So I could Spellbreaker, but I think I'm fine just playing the Domri post-combat. I could -3. Yeah, this person's not playing Burn, so I think I do -3. Because that actually gives me something if they do remove Domri. So yeah, I do think that was the correct decision. Karn? Your Karn is no match for my Domri. I bring chaos, my friend. I'm gonna give you the worst card. This is the worst card? Yes. So that needs to die. Opponent has 1 card. Opponent has 1 love. And it looks like it is a kill on Domri. Oh, no it is not. It's a kill on my token. So Karn dies. Or can I just kill my opponent? Let's see. So I have access to a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Which does not break evenly into this, but... Oh my gosh, I could 9 them, right? Oh wait, no. That's lethal. Awesome. Sweet. I'm dumb. Because this gives an extra riot. Red, sure, who cares? Yeah, because this gives an extra riot, this comes down with haste and a +1/+1 counter. This comes down with just haste. And we have lethal because my opponent decided to exile not the Gruul Spellbreaker. Found lethal. Oh, so nice. Our opponent, it looks like they flooded a little bit, but, you know, we mana screwed a little bit, so. And I almost conceded that game. I mean,
Theric 6 backs away from no one.
oh, man. Cool. All right, well, we beat a control deck. Cool, I guess. I don't know. Come on, Arena. All right, I think it happened a bit after 30, so we'll give it a shot until 45. Why do you hate me, game? I'm just trying to produce content. A lot of people have said, like, just edit out the searching for games and stuff, but I have a lot of work to do, so I can't. Grad school is a beating, but it's fun. I would not be in it if I didn't enjoy myself, and I do enjoy myself, so I think most people are fine with keeping this in. Especially since it gives me a chance to just, like, randomly talk about nonsense. It'd be better, though, if, like, I'm online. I check my wireless, and it says I'm connected. And I go over here, and it's taking forever. I don't understand. That was probably incredibly offensive to Scotland, I believe. Haggis? Haggis? I don't know. Why do you hate me, Arena? I mean, luckily the video's only been 22 minutes so far, so I can still get in, like, 2 games or something. But Arena's being a punk. Thank you! Holy crap. You just have to insult it. Wraith bored. I don't know if I would ever be bored by Wraiths. I'm fairly certain I would be scared of Wraiths. This hand is okay. It allows us to get out the Lava Coil if our opponent is super aggressive. Otherwise, we do have Llanowar Elf into potentially 2 3-drops, as long as Llanowar Elf is around. But even if they do remove Llanowar Elves, we do have access to double Lava Coils. So I think that this is a keep, especially since we're going second. It would be harder to decide that if we were going first, but since we're going second, I think it should be okay. Someone, like, counted these for some reason, and they were annoyed by, like, the number on the top versus the bottom or something. Alright, so they're 18 on the bottom. Or 20 on top. Interesting. Alright, so our opponent, whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land that isn't a mana ability, deals 1 damage to that player. Well, good thing I don't plan on doing that much. Cough, cough, except... Oh wait, this doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't include Planeswalker, so I'm pretty sure I just never do that. So I think I will Rhythm of the Wild here. And then next turn I'll have 4 mana, and I might... Because they're taking 1 damage, that's not a big a deal. But next turn, I could, you know, Lava Coil this and another creature if they play one, or just play Gruul Spellbreaker as a 4-3, or a 4-4 with haste. So we'll go and do this. Do I want to just make a 4-4 with haste, or do I want to make a 5-5 that doesn't have haste? I'm not sure. I think I would rather have a 5/5, honestly. Because anything that's, you know, good against any style of burn is helpful, especially since we are starting to draw a little bit more lands than we need. Oh, is this blue-red? Oh, it's a Phoenix deck. Well, good thing I have 2 Lava Coils with your guys' name on it. So let us play a red source. Alternatively, I could just Lava Coil this and then District Guide. I think I might like that better, because that means that if they have another Phoenix, I can Lava Coil that as well. So I think this is fine. This, especially since we have Rhythm of the Wild, it allows me to build my board, you know, thin my lands out a bit. Or I should say thin my deck out a bit. And let's see, I want a red mana. But yeah, the sequence here is just really nice, and I can still attack because this has trample. But being able to play these kind of weaker cards because you're getting the ETB with Rhythm of Wild is really nice. It turns Llanowar Elves slightly larger. It makes them functionally free. Okay, 5 mana. Crackling Drake, sure. I have a Lava Coil. I mean, I don't even need the Lava Coil at this point. I'd like to draw a real card. Alright, sure, I'll take that. It looks like they're playing Drakes, but just a different version. And that type of thing, I think, is totally correct to have in unranked. I don't like that it says play. Like, I'd much prefer if it just said unranked. Or you could make an argument for it not saying casual, but it should be called unranked. Anyway, I think that style of thing where you're trying drastic changes to a deck. I mean, even if it's just those 4 cards, if he's running 4 of them, I think that's drastic enough of a change, right? Like, if you're just seeing how the card does in general, I think something like that is totally fine to be in ranked, even though Drakes is one of the more popular decks. If you're playing some sort of control deck that was trying something really, you know, wacky, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but, you know, I think that's totally reasonable, right? If you're playing, like, an Unmoored Unmoored Ego deck specifically, but you need, you know, control elements around it, I'd say, you know, try it out in unranked. Make sure it, like, actually works with its control elements. Make sure you can win with the deck. And that's totally fine. My problem are stock lists in unranked. Mostly, honestly, it's almost entirely just Wilderness, or I shouldn't say Wilderness, Nexus decks and Mono Red. You could argue Gates as well, because it's, like, Gates is kind of the new Mono Red because of how few rares it needs to be piloted properly, right? Like, that deck, the lands, for the most part, are uncommons. The bulk of the deck is uncommons. I'm not even sure, you know, I'm going to go ahead and go to MTG Goldfish. That is where I get my metagame news. Go to the metagame. Let's see, where is Gates? Gates. How many rares are in this? Is there a way for me to see that? Oh, okay, cool. They play Hydra Crisis now, so that is a mythic. Oh, what kind of bad person plays Nexus? I'm not counting Nexus of Fate. Not every Gate player plays Nexus of Fate. Oh, we got a game. Tien Su Hao? Is that... let's see, what... is that Thai? Or is that from Taiwan? I don't know. I'll keep this hand. You know, we got a 1, we got a 2, we got a 3, we got removal. Totally fine. I am going to play this now and take some damage, because I like the idea of being able to play Gruul Spellbreaker next turn and follow that up with a Thorn Lieutenant and Lava Coil. I think that's a decent play pattern. And we're up against Gates. Good to know. So, against Gates, I'm going to put on as much pressure as I can. Luckily, Rekindling Phoenix... they don't have... do they have Lava Coil? They do play a few Lava Coils. Or many of them do, at least. So, hopefully, we'll be able to... oh! It's Gate Mill! Color me effing surprised. I didn't see that coming. Alright, I can blow that up with Vivien. Oh, 2 lands? I didn't want those. Thank you. That's not a gate, right? Yeah, so luckily, I'm in a position in which I am able to get through for a lot of damage before my opponent is really able to set up. A Gates Ablaze here is relatively unfortunate next turn, but I have access to Rekindling Phoenix. So that's, I mean, it's fine. I'll still have a 3-ish turn clock. 2 more? Thank you, man. I don't need those lands. 4 lands. Those are 4 lands I would have drawn. So, as you can see, the deck's mana is a little finicky because of the fact that we have 23 and sometimes we just draw a lot. Guild Summit. That's... You're dead, though. You're so incredibly dead. Alright. Cool, we get another game in. I always like another game. I really like this Gruul deck. Riot is a fun mechanic. Just the number of options it gives you is so great. Like Riot is the type of mechanic that is good for 1/1 counters, right? Because at the end of the day, it's essentially just a 1/1 counter mechanic. But it's so different because it gives you a nice actual gameplay option every time. And the options are going to really have different weights depending on each and every game. I really like the Riot mechanic. I will say, the Adapt mechanic, after playing with for a bit, is a lot more, you know, decent than I initially expected, or than I initially considered. And I think mainly that is due to them having cards that actually care about having 1/1 counters on it, right? You know, you do have the draft stuff that just puts on 1/1 counters, but you know, once you get to the higher rarities, and unfortunately it is at mostly the higher rarities, you do see, you know, a lot of cool, interesting ways that those 1/1 counters matter. It does give you some amount of decision making with the cards, but it's not on the same level as Riot, unfortunately. Spend a minute waiting. Why do you hate me? Afterlife, I mean, everyone knew that Afterlife was going to be decent, just because of the fact that sticky creatures are usually decent. Whether or not it's, you know, quote-unquote good is up to what you decide good to be. A lot of people think good is much more along the lines of just, are a certain number of those cards played in metagame decks? So, I don't know. This hand, unfortunately, just has too few lands and too high of a curve, so we're going to go and mulligan. I hate you. If this was green, I might keep it, but I'll mulligan. And I'll keep this and be sad. And I'll drop this, and I can't wait to mana flood this game. But that's fine. So let's see. Expansion Explosion, yeah, those are rares. And then you have a few rares in the land base. Yeah, no, I mean, it's, for the most part, relatively cheap. I thank you for this Thorn Lieutenant. I appreciate this deck. Yeah, for the most part, the gate deck, relatively cheap. So it looks like we're maybe going up against Burn. Yep, going up against Burn. Luckily, this blocks that pretty nicely. They could attack and then Chain Whirlerio. I'm going to make this 4/4. Against Mono Red, you usually just try and hold black. Hold the black? You try and hold back and make sure that you are able to, you know, deal damage to your opponent's creatures. That said, I'm going to ignore what I just said and attack with Thorn Lieutenant. Because a 4/4 usually means at least they're going to be spending 2 resources or more to kill the Spellbreaker. Gutter Snips, alright. It's that kind of burn deck. Okay, so hopefully... Let's see, so I could attack and entice... It would entice the double block, but it wouldn't actually, like, get the double block, unfortunately. Because there's no way my opponent would actually block with it. Gutter Snipe is probably going to be what wins them the game. So I think we're going to attack with just the Spellbreaker. It's nice that it has Trample, so that... Yep, so that we're pretty much guaranteed to get some amount of damage through. But at this point, we want to delicately race. We want to be attacking our opponent, but making sure we have enough back to block. So here, I'm at 14. My opponent has 3 cards left in hand. Going down to 10 with a Gutter Snipe on board is difficult. I'd love a Lava Coil. I'd love to be able to get up to Ravager Wurm, but I don't know how much time I have for that. I'm going to take action here. Let me know if you think that's wrong down in the comments. Skewer, yeah. So Skewer would have still resolved because of Gutter Snipe. Okay, so I mean this is nice. Wait, let me just make this is nice, but I think it's 1 turn too late. I do think at this point I am just actually dead. Damn, Spectacles, or not Spectacle in general. I think Spectacle's fine. I just think Scare the Critics is a little good. Like, I don't know. I feel like it would maybe be a little bit more reasonable if it, like, was Spectacle 2 and, like, gave you a bonus for something. I literally had to decline that. Opponent has 1 mana. Hopefully they don't, like, play any other burn spells. Oh, wow. Look at that. Witch's Lightning. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we were going to run into it at some point. I did say that the mono-red deck is a little bit difficult to play against. 35... I'll play another game. This deck is fun. I have a blast playing it, so... I just need to decide when to put dinner in the oven. Bum, 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 bum. Actually, I want to go back to Goldfish and see what the metagame is on this website. I don't think it's super... It's not entirely accurate, but let's see. Sultai midrange, followed by Esper Control. Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Oh, there's Band Nexus. Okay, it's not too far down. Yeah, Esper Control, Mono Red, Mono Blue. So let's see. Sultai midrange, I know that Merchant hates because the midrange package is kind of too widely played. And I'm inclined to agree with him. I mean, I play Sultai. I have the Explore package. I play Sultai Muldrotha and had the Explore package. And I play Abzan midrange and had the Explore package. I'll be doing updates to those decks at some point. This hand is kind of dangerous because of the amount of shocks we have in it, but should be okay because we can technically turn 2 this, turn 3 this. So as long as our opponent isn't super aggressive, we should be more or less okay. But Esper Control, I think Esper Control is fine. Especially considering I think it has fewer total counter spells. Oh gosh, it's potentially a starter deck. This could be the black-white life gain deck. In that case, I feel incredibly sorry. I'm sorry, Stone Rocks. Let's see. So this deck plays 4 absorbs, 1 negate. Was that it? Okay, yeah. So 4 absorbs and 1 negate. How many? Let's go and play this mountain so we don't feel as much pain. Yeah, double 4-second Sanctuary. It's kind of unfortunate. Let's see how many things the Bant Nexus deck plays. What the hell? They don't play any counterspells? Alright, well, I feel stupid now. I know Jessica does. Jessica plays 3 negates, 4 absorbs. People are really cutting down on the amount of counter magics going on. What do you just do? Mortify? Oh, okay. That's interesting. I could play a Skarrgan Hellkite and take 2 damage. Against control, I think that's correct to do. Except for the fact that my opponent might be setting up for a Kaya's Wrath. So I think I'm actually more inclined to play this... Oh, right, but... If he does Kaya's Wrath, I can't actually get it down. But if he Kaya's Wrath, it dies anyway. Alright, I'm going to do this. Against control, you don't really need to save life, necessarily. But... this technically gets in a little bit more damage. Because if my opponent does Kaya's Wrath, if I top deck a land, my opponent is dead. Okay, they didn't Kaya's Wrath. And I have Hexproof, so... I'll do that. Oh, I guess they could have Seal Away for this, so I should have attacked with this. That was dumb. I think my opponent's figuring out that I can't be settled. Yep. Yep, and that is why Gruul Spellbreaker is dope. So I guess that was just an Esper Control list that didn't have all of the cards for it. And once again, I think that is a reasonable way to do that. I think if you don't have all of the cards that you need for something, it's totally reasonable to play that in Unranked. Like, if you want to play Grixis Control, but maybe you don't have all of the rare cards, because that deck does have a large number of rares, it's totally reasonable to play that in Unranked. So, now I'm going to talk really briefly about these cards in the sideboard, and we're going to buy a pack. Alright, so Shock. Why are we not running Shock? It's essentially because we wanted to have a little bit more green mana, which means we're going to have a little bit more green mana early. So Shock is technically slightly less likely to be played. Additionally, Lava Coil is just kind of better, and I would rather play a 2-mana spell that deals with more things than a 1-mana spell that happens to be able to go face. Lightning Strike, I talked a little bit about already. Growth Chamber Guardian, it's because it has Adapt. There is definitely a, a Temur +1/+1 counters deck that utilizes a lot of the Simic and Gruul cards. I will be getting to that at some point, but this is meant to show off the mechanic and not just play good cards. So, Incubation Droid, exactly the same reason. Merfolk Branchwalker and Jadelight Ranger. I had Branchwalker in the initial deck, and I tried to have Jadelight Ranger and Branchwalker. In this deck, I ended up cutting the Branchwalkers, and then I ended up cutting the Jadelight Rangers. I just found that the other cards that I had were a little bit more consistent in what I wanted them to do. Cindervines is a fantastic sideboard card if you end up going with this deck. I want to make a deck around Cindervines specifically because the card's dope. Other than the broken hand, if you look properly, her hand at the top is a little messed up. But Cindervines is just a great sideboard against any control player. You know, it for what it's worth, it's not terrible against burn either if you're committed to racing them. So Cindervines, good card. Thrash Threat. Why didn't I not play this? Because I didn't want to. I'd rather just have more creatures. That's like entirely the reason. Yes, technically, Threat is a 4/4 for 4 that does have trample, but I want to just play other Riot creatures, man. Also, this doesn't work with the Riot enchantment. It says non-token. Brontodon. It's a good way to deal with artifact or enchantments, but I feel like I didn't need them nearly as much since I had 1, access to Vivien Reid, and 2, access to doming them in the face. Nullhide Ferox. It's fine, but you kind of it messes up your deck enough that you'd have to get rid of a large number of the creature spells, or just like deal with a technically worse deck. So that's why. Ripjaw Raptor. I really like this card, and I think the ability to make this a 5/6 or a 4/5 with haste is really cool. But I just wanted to play other cards. Frenzied Earrings, very similar. I think this is one of the best Riot cards for the budget deck for sure because of the inherent decentness of its stats, but it gets outcompeted by other cards. Sunder Shaman, very similar, other than the fact that my main gripe with this card is like it's just a body and it gets chump blocked pretty decently. So there's better cards to play. Pelakka Wurm, I'm giving this a kind of a shout out. I just like Pelakka Wurm, all right? Leave me alone. All right, so we're gonna go to the store. We're going to buy. You know what? We're gonna buy. Buy an M19 pack. Why am I buying random packs? Because I have most of the rares from Allegiance. I bought a lot of packs from Allegiance, alright? Oh man, I really enjoyed that that game. That was, or this video I should say. That was a ton of fun. So I would like to thank my lovely patrons, especially Salamander and Zoraga, for their continued support. If you'd like to join them in supporting the channel, find links to that down in the description below, along with links to my Discord server where we chat and play games, and my Aetherweb account where I host my decks. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and tap that like button, add a subscription to your mana pool, and cast one of your comments to the comment section down below. Until next time, all will be one.